mean, we can bring the natural elements inside as well, by just through pot plants and you know, bunches of flowers. You know, the grevilleas are beautiful at the moment. Pick a bunch and have them there. So, you know, down for children to appreciate and learn about and talk about. And I think, you know, there are lots of materials you can include in block corner and places like that. So it's not all plastic and artificial. I mean, little pieces of wood. And
the other day we were chopping a tree down at my mum's place, and my mum likes chopping down trees. And so we managed to rescue. I was rescuing the tree. We were chopping up big branches like this, and we're chopping up the tree trunk, so we actually made it into seats. And on Monday I just brought it all in and just put it inside the centre, and so we've actually got seats in the block area, and they've got little bits of tree branches, and so that becomes, instead of actually purchasing stuff through one of the toy catalogues, I can actually go and sort of say, well, here it is here. It didn't cost us anything. And I think just being resourceful and looking around, even asking parents, we've just done this makeover of our small playground, and we asked the parents if they'd like to donate a plant. Well, I had over $3,000 worth of donations made for plants, so that we were able to buy plants and pot plants and do other stuff with it. And that was just a simple request, and it was, and everybody had a sense of they're in that space, whether they were able to come along and help at the working bee or just be able to donate.
I wonder sometimes when you're talking about that sort of bringing natural elements inside and adding natural elements to the environment, how we avoid doing that in a tokenistic way. I wonder, I mean, can that be tokenistic? Is there, I mean, I suppose there's always a value to it, but are there ways of doing it that are more valuable than others?
I mean, I think so. I think it does take more than just changing your plastic containers to wicker containers.
And I guess that's what I was thinking about, that sense of everyone sort of loves wicker baskets at the moment, but I do wonder if we don't do anything more than transfer all our equipment from an ice cream tub to a wicker basket, whether we're actually adding anything to the quality of children's learning.
Probably not.
Or does it look nice?
Or does it look nice? And I mean, I've always said it takes more than a lamp and a couch to make it a more comfortable, home-like environment, if you like. And so I think it does take more than that. But maybe if that's the beginning for some people to think about presentation, because I think when we do present things beautifully with children, we do give a message that they're worthwhile. And so the ability to see things and have them beautifully presented, I think, is important, but I would say it's only the very beginning of getting children to really embrace and understand and realise the significance of the natural world in all of our lives.
And sometimes I suppose services who are trying to introduce that sense of maybe sort of beauty and order to their environment find the challenge is how do you manage to keep that with the children there? Sometimes I think it's almost easier to have a beautiful environment when there are no children there. It's lovely to set it up in the morning, but how do you actually keep an environment that sort of maintains that sense of order through a day or through a week?
I guess for us, we've done a lot of work around it's children's ownership of the environment. We do talk a lot about where things belong. We do put photos and names on all of our wicker baskets and things, so even our really young babies get a sense of order. And because I think order in children's services is really important. I think you can't make good choices if there's chaos. And so that for me is really important. But those are teaching things for me, that we actually teach children about where things go and why they go in these kind of places.
But even that process, when you put a label on a basket, the children's sense of agency, of being able to be in control, they can actually put things away themselves because they actually know where things are. Babies can actually go up and sort of say, well, can I have the cup? They'll point to what toy they want because they actually know in that basket up on the shelf, these are the toys in it, can I have that? They may just point. So they're actually in control, which is what we want is babies to sort of be able to say to adults, hey, I need your help to get this for me, but that's what I would like to play with.
One of the things I really like to do is sit down and look at my environment from the perspective of a crawling baby. And just having a new grandchild who was crawling at home, I had to be very conscious of the very interesting things that she could find on my floor. So I think it's a really good exercise for all of us to kind of get down at a baby level who's crawling and a toddler who's just toddling and see what they can see, because they see things very different from our viewpoint. So for me, thinking about your environment from what it looks like from all of the players in it is really important. And we sort of all talk about not having things above children's eye level, but I think sometimes we don't go to the actual step of saying, well, what does it look like from the floor where I'm sitting or from where they're sitting?
I think that's really important. That's something you're always getting down and taking photographs at that level, just to sort of see what is it the children actually see, and what does it look like when you. And if you look at some of our outdoor space, we've actually got they're big sweeping lines and lots of curves with the way that we've actually done the planning. So, and this whole sense, I love the idea of what do children see spatially in this whole thing about where they see themselves. Sometimes up high and sometimes they're down low, but that whole thing of how does a child see the world that they're actually in? Because we see it from up here, we're looking down on children's play. But what do they actually see? And giving children the cameras and seeing the world from their perspective and from their eyes is really sometimes a bit confronting, because I hate being in a camera, but it's amazing what they actually see, and what they see is really important. And when you sort of say, because we ask the children to document their play as well as we're documenting their play, so when they've got the cameras and taking their own movies or taking their own photographs, it's interesting what they focus on.
I think another thing about environments that's really important to me is the noise level. And
well, I was going to ask about, I mean, to an extent there is that practical side of, you know, I guess an environment can look beautiful, but there has to be a practical side around how much space you allow for certain things to happen, and how much, you know, noise you I guess encourage or discourage, and how you provide environments that allow for that to happen.
I guess for me, my gauge around that is by watching and listening to children. But I know myself, if there's constant noise through background music, for example, if I say that conversations really matter in our environment, if there's constant noise, I find I can't manage those conversations, so I don't think children can. So I think those things about your values, again, about what's really important and what you provide, often makes you make decisions about that we don't have background music in our service, because children do make a lot of noise. And I guess that also for me is why an indoor-outdoor program is really important, because the noise dissipates when you spread 40 children out over a bigger space, whether that's inside or outside. And so I think sometimes we perhaps forget about those things, but they do really add to an environment. I guess both Neville and I have cooks in our centre, and so the smells are often really beautiful, and even parents and visitors come in and say, this smells so good, you know.
Only when I'm cooking scones.
Only when you're cooking scones. But I mean, I think there are things like that support our environments as well, to be pleasant places for everybody.
Also the entrance, when you walk into a space, what's it look like? You know, setting the scene for the journey through an organisation. How busy are the walls? I have a huge issue with busy walls, and the fact that the more notice you put up, the less people read. What do those spaces look like? I think it's everything you do around the space, how you present the overall facility, and to de-institutionalise what we work in, to try and make it as home-like as possible.
That notion of home-like's interesting, isn't it? Because I guess for me, I've never thought about children's services as home-like, because perhaps apart from family daycare, but for me, having 40 children in a space is not like anybody's home that I know of. Having 4 children at home was pretty busy, but so I think we need to think about those words that perhaps we use in our philosophies as well, and say, well, is it like a home? And what else?
It might be the soft furnishings, the lounge chairs and bits and pieces that sort of just soften the space. It's not always hard surfaces.
It's somewhere between an institution and a home, so that it sits somewhere in the middle.
You know, a soft place for a nursing mum to sit and nurse a baby, you know, and breastfeed a baby, a nice lounge chair and that sort of stuff, and a nice place for a carer to sit down and rock a baby to sleep. They're often those sort of things we don't think about, but it's just that soft stuff.
Okay, well, thank you both very much for your time. I mean, I think it's a topic that, I mean, I guess we've really only just started talking about, but hopefully there's a lot in there that gives some people ideas about how they can think about their environment, I guess in a bigger way than maybe just focusing on what it looks like or what's going out in it, but actually how it can really support what they do overall. So thank you very much.
Cheers, thanks.